Yeah, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin-yang, come along.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Indiana Sports Beat. Thanks a lot for taking us along wherever you're going, whatever you may be doing. Thanks a lot for taking Indiana Sports Beat along for the ride. Jim Coyle with you, as always. Also, Justin Kalen, high atop the crew chief's box.
That's right.
Hope your day's off to a good start, and hope we can add to that. Got a lot going on today. Chronic Hoosiers on the program, as always. Also, we'll have Mike Schumann from the Daily Hoosier on. We'll hear from Archie Radio last night. Romeo, a rare appearance on the program by him. We'll hear from Romeo as well. And Lily King, who led Indiana to their 6th ever Big Ten Swim and Dive Championship. Big win for her. But let's get to the headlines with Justin first.
All right, here are a look at your Daily Hoosier headlines for this 26th day of February 2019. Indiana men's basketball set to take on Wisconsin tonight at 9 o'clock in Simon Scott Assembly Hall. IU women's basketball travels to Northwestern to take on the Wildcats at 8 o'clock this evening. And Indiana basketball commit Armand Franklin wins the 2019 Player of the Year for the city of Indianapolis. Those are a look at your Daily Hoosier headlines for this 26th day of February 2019. For more information, make sure to check out thedailyhoosier.com.
Hey, welcome back. Like I said, today on the program, Chronic Hoosiers along with us the next hour. Looking forward to getting to that. A lot to talk about. Archie Radio. Indiana hosting Wisconsin. You know, it's so funny whenever we're doing something with Todd Leary. And back in that era, they did not lose to Wisconsin. As a matter of fact, until I think it was the 6-20 season is where it kind of started. Indiana has lost 19 of the last 21 games to Wisconsin. That's staggering.
Yeah. That's a number I didn't know and didn't really need to know on this Tuesday.
Well, they got on that streak. They just couldn't. It was like 9 years in a row, I think.
Yeah.
During that span, they just could not get past it. It's unbelievable, and yet still with that, Indiana still holds a 20-something game margin in the overall series lead.
Wow.
But they let Wisconsin take a big bite out of that lead. But hopefully it'll get turned around. This is an opportunity for Indiana to make up some ground. Wisconsin's a good team. You got the Big Ten Player of the Year probably coming in,
Yep.
Ethan Happ, who's a very unusual. You want an unusual stat. This dude averages a double-double. He averages double-digit rebounds with 10 rebounds a game. I think he averages 14 points a game. But he shoots 35% at the daggone free throw line. 35%.
Yeah.
That's a 3 and a 5. That's 1/3.
That's worse than Shaq.
That's worse than anybody in the history of basketball.
Probably.
I don't understand that. It's nuts. It is absolutely crazy to me that's even possible.
Yeah.
When someone who is that proficient of a player. But I posted yesterday, I go, I know my game plan. I'm starting with Jake Forrester, and I'm saying he touches the ball, you mug him. He does not get a shot off.
Here's the only issue I had with what you posted. You came out and said, put Clifton Moore, foul him every time he touches the ball, which I'm okay with, and then you bring in the other guys. Why not start with the guys that won't contribute, or that probably won't contribute later in the game, the bench guys? Put them in first, and then
Oh, I'm sorry.
Then
I
go
must have
to
missed something that Clifton Moore has been lighting up the scoreboard somewhere along the way. He hadn't even seen the court.
That's true.
What are you talking about?
But Jake Forrester, he could possibly help you.
Contributing.
Good point.
I didn't list Jake Forrester yesterday. That's why.
Yeah.
I went, but I'm like, hey, I'm serious. He does not score. He does not score. You foul out. I don't care. Foul him out because you're not going to play. Then you bring in Jake Forrester. Now you foul out. That's 10 fouls. That's 10 possessions.
Yep.
I'm not kidding. I don't at this stage, you do whatever it takes to win.
Right.
I really don't care. And if shutting down their number one player by putting him at the free throw line because he couldn't hit a free throw, if he tried, of course now against Indiana, he'll be banking in free throws.
Oh, yeah. He'll hit them all.
That's just how that goes. Hey, hit us up on the text line. Joker's already up and at it. He's ready to go. I'm trying to I don't think I really – Alem Ford is my prediction to have that stupid good performance against us tonight. 5 of 6, 3 on the way to 25 points. Is that supposed to be Alan Ford?
Alan Ford?
I don't know. I'm just reading it off. But, yeah, hit us up on the text line, 812-269-6367. Thanks, Joker. But, yeah, it's a game Indiana can steal. Not steal, but just simply win, man.
It's funny that you bring up the whole hack-a-hap thing because that's exactly – Archie was actually asked about that last night on the coach's show. Let's hear his answer.
24%. Some teams have obviously tried to hack-a-hap if they're in those opportunities in the second half where it's a tight game or maybe you have a lead where you put them to the line. Minnesota won at Wisconsin early in the year by fouling in the last 6 minutes of the game. They just put him to the line. And he struggles with that. It's obviously not something we're thinking about right now, but it has to be in the back of your mind that if you do foul him hard. Don't give him an and one. Just make sure he has to go to the free throw line and then play the numbers.
Why the hell aren't you thinking about it right now?
That's true.
That's the first thing that came to my mind. Here's the first thing that came to my mind. You need to win a game. What does it take to win that game within the legal constraints of the game? Foul him.
Yeah.
He can't shoot free throws. He averages a double-double. You want to leave him loose, or you want to put him at the free throw line? Put his ass on the free throw line. The hell with that.
Yeah, I mean, you can take your chances with him shooting 50, 55% with twos, or you can go with the sure thing like you're talking about, 35% and getting 1 point. So,
I mean, it's kind of cheap, but I don't care right now. They need to do what they need to do.
Right, I agree.
But, well, we'll see how that turns out.
It'll be a long game if that's the case.
Well, and, ESPN has been playing Indiana-Wisconsin games all night long. It's sad that I know that, but I do. And there's one on right now, as a matter of fact. But look at, it's a late tip. That's another thing. It's a late tip.
Yeah.
How's the crowd going to be? Are they going to have the crowd? They need the crowd. They need that crowd. They need everything they can get right now because they need to win.
Right.
They're 13 and 14. They're a sub 500 team right now. Indiana has not finished under 500 since I think the 2010 season.
That's probably right. Yeah.
That was the second season after the 6-25 season of Tom Crean.
10-21. I'll never forget it.
So, really, no need for this team to be in that era, that area.
Yeah.
It's just not necessary. These are two different teams, but it is what it is. But these are games that they can win. Now, it's sad because there's so many of these games they could have won. They were so close. Needed things to go their way. Needed to hit a shot. Needed to do this. Just to do one thing here or there. So many games that would be a win instead of a loss.
Yeah.
But this team is still learning how to fight. This team is still learning how to win. This team is still learning. They don't have a natural killer instinct. And it's killed them.
I saw a stat yesterday. Did you know that since the Crossroads Classic, Indiana and Notre Dame have won a combined 10 games? Since they both won their game in the Crossroads Classic, Notre Dame has won 6 games, Indiana's won 4.
Oh, my goodness. That is a staggering number.
Yeah. 10
Holy
games.
Cow. That's a staggering number.
Yeah.
Hey, hit us up on the text line, 812-269-6367. Make sure you like or follow us on Facebook. You can find the show rebroadcast if you don't catch us live on Apple Play, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google Play. You can catch it live every day on thedailyhoosier.com or indianasportsbeat.com or, of course, on Big X Sports Radio, 1450, 96.1, Southern Indiana, or on the ref, 97.7 in Evansville. But thanks a lot for following us, however you are. Glad to have you along. Indiana takes on Wisconsin tonight at Simon Scott Assembly Hall. They've got, were we down to 5 games left now?
Yeah, 5.
All of them are home games except for one. They travel
Illinois.
someplace.
Illinois.
Oh, Illinois. Yeah. Illinois. Dangerous. Not going to talk about that game yet, but man, oh man, that's going to be a dangerous game.
Yeah.
Saturday they host Sparty. So not only would this win be huge because it would be a win tonight if they can get it, it would be a great little jump start as Sparty comes to town.
Yeah.
A team you have beaten on the road, but it's a little bit different team now. Yeah. They're used to playing without Josh Langford,
yeah,
who they lost as their starting point guard. Although they're coming off of a huge win as they knocked off Michigan.
Tough
and they're
week.
trying to take control of the Big Ten.
Real tough week. Tough week. What kind of odds do you give Indiana to just win one of these games?
Oh, they're winning something. They're winning one of these games. There's no way
Wisconsin
you can come
or
that
Michigan
close
State?
to Iowa and Purdue and not. I like them in this game tonight.
Hot take.
I mean, they've got to start sometime, and it's got to happen at home, you would think.
Yeah.
And Wisconsin is a team they're very similar to as far as the numbers. Bill texted in, Justin, the bigger question would be how many of those wins came against each other?
None?
Yeah, I was going to say I don't understand that.
None, Bill.
Zero.
None.
Zero. They did not play. Yeah. I think it starts tonight, man. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. They've been so close. They're working hard. I think that sadly, I think they're finally they're grasping the situation.
Yeah.
I truly think that you got a lot of guys that just, and Romeo included, Romeo did not know how to fight to win. He's never had to do that. He lost 10 games in his entire high school career.
Yeah.
He didn't know how to fight. They'd won so much, and without a lot of help, he had a Sean East.
Who, by the way, Indiana was watching the other day. Did you see that?
I saw that. Where is he?
That's a great question. I know the team he's with was playing IMG Academy. So he's got to be at a prep school.
Well, yeah, but were they watching him or were they watching Harlan Beverly?
He's at the Combine Academy. That's a good point, though, Harlan Beverly being from IMG. But I thought it's probably a multi-purpose trip.
But I think he's the leading scorer on his team, on whatever team he's playing on. So, of course, talking about Sean East, who played at New Albany High School with Romeo, and wish him the best. I think he received one D1 offer coming out of college and didn't like that, and so he decided to go a different route. It's probably going to work out to his best interest.
Yeah,
I think it's going to benefit him greatly because he's taken that opportunity to grow and prove himself to a bunch of other schools, and he's going to probably end up at someplace nice.
Yeah, he's a pretty good player. He's fun to watch.
Yeah, he just, I guess, had to grow and strengthen and do a lot of things, and he's done that.
Yeah.
But getting back to the point that Romeo has not had to fight to win. And I'm not sure how many of these other guys have had to fight to win. So they haven't shown me that the ability to fight to win. They show me the ability to fight, but not to win. They aren't able to do just enough to get over the hump, whether it's getting that stop or getting that shot to go down. But you've got to have a guy, I don't know, like Jordan Bohannon for Iowa. who, if you need a dagger, hello, Carson Edwards. But see, and Archie was actually asked about this last night too. He was asked about Romeo taking the last shot, and the guy was very adept at answering this question, or asking that question last night to Archie, and I thought it was very good. And he was basically saying, hey, Romeo is a great player, and it's true, like to have the ball in his hands probably 80% of the time. And you could tell he was like, but basically in that situation, did it cross your mind to get the ball into Juwan Morgan's hands? And I think that's the problem.
Yeah.
They've gone all, and Archie talked about that there was a play designed. The goal was to design a play for Romeo to drive. He said, and Romeo just didn't think that was available and opted for the step back 3-point shot. Again, that tells me that you got to make the play.
Yeah.
You got to make it happen. Or you have to have a good backup. A step back 3 is not a good backup.
No.
There's 4 other guys on that floor. If you're drawing that kind of attention that your play didn't work, guess what? Somebody's open.
Yeah.
Kick it.
It's got to find them, yeah.
Kick it. Because I promise you, there's 4 guys on the floor I'd rather take a long-range jumper. Yeah. I don't care, and I don't care which 4 it is, to be honest with you. But that's more learning. But Romeo wants the ball in his hands.
Yeah.
And I understand that. He wants to take that shot.
It's what he's always done. It's what
if
he wants
it goes
to continue
down,
to do.
Now, if that shot goes down, he's a hero.
Yeah.
Just without, but that's that. They're going to get the opportunity tonight. We'll certainly find and see what they can do. But Romeo was on Archie Radio last night. It was kind of funny because he's really soft-spoken. And I'm like, this is going to be funny to see how this goes.
We'll hear from him later in the show.
Yeah,
but we got to get to a break.
It wasn't bad. He talked about wanting to possibly go into broadcasting. I think is a major sport communication. Don Fisher was hosting the show, of course, and gave him a little out to read. But speaking of outs, we got to hit one because we got to hit the brakes. But we come back. We've got Don Fisher replay from yesterday on the program. Also, Chronic Hoosier, Mike Schumann from the Daily Hoosier. We're going to hear from Romeo and Archie and Lily King. Stay tuned. Indiana Sports Beat's back with all kinds of stuff right after this.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
This is Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat.
And I'm Justin Kalen with Indiana Sports Beat.
Justin, what's your favorite show?
It's got to be Indiana Sports Beat, but I'm not ever sure where to find it.
Well, you can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for it each and every day, or, of course, on Big X Sports Radio, 1450, 96.1 WXVW in Southern Indiana, and 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
If you want to get your day off to a good start, then stop at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs. While you're filling your gas tank, you could fill your own tank with a hot breakfast or try one of Billy Joe's daily lunch special. Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart opens at 5 a.m. and everything is made fresh daily. And if you bring your own mug, coffee is only 50 cents. And Billy Joe's also has free air. The best place to start your day is at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us Research Program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become 1 in a million.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
Today's guest is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, with hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer. Pizza, burgers, beer. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat. Jim Coyle with you as always. Justin Taylor, high top of Crew Chiefs box. But we're joined as always by the incomparable voice of the Indiana Hoosiers, Don Fisher. Don, how are you, sir?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing fine, Don. Thank you for asking. I know it was another hard loss for the Hoosiers over the weekend, man. It's just, golly, almost snake bitten as they give a great effort on the road against a good team, a ranked team, and yet come up short. Got to be so disappointing.
I don't think there's any doubt about that. These guys have really played extraordinarily hard the last 2 ball games against Purdue last Tuesday and then against Iowa on Friday night. And they lose both of those ball games in heartbreaking fashion. It was just another one of those weeks for this Indiana basketball team because it's been this way now for well over a month and a half. And the struggles continue. A ball club that now has lost 12 of 13, and it's just been so difficult for this team to find a way to get it done, and it's heartbreaking in the sense that the effort level that they've given has just been spectacular, in my opinion. Obviously, the Minnesota game was an anomaly in that context. They did not play well. I'd say there are 2 games this year, Jim, that have really bugged me, and that was because of the effort level and that type of thing. And, of course, Nebraska was the first of those 2, and then the Minnesota ball game the other. And yet we have seen this team come back and fight like crazy. We saw them play a game like they did this week in both contests against Purdue and Iowa, against Michigan State, and they were able to win that ball game in overtime. The last week, however, they were not able to win either one of those contests. And the culprit continues to be the shooting aspect of it. They just don't shoot it well enough, and it doesn't matter how well they play. The shooting aspect of it continues to be a big factor for this team. Their struggles to knock down outside shots, their inability to hit free throws sometimes, and without question, just making shots, period, has been a big, big struggle for And I don't know what the answer is other than to just continue to perform, to go out there and practice like crazy and work on it. But right now, they don't have the kind of shooting that it takes to get over the hump in this situation, and that's been their biggest issue.
Yeah, the ironic thing is this team is so close to being a great team. They're barely losing against a good team like Iowa, but they've got guys going 0 for 3, 1 for 4, 1 for 5 while doing that. So they're so close. If they just start getting some shots to fall, whether it's this year or next year, but they're that close game in and game out, it seems. It is so disappointing for those guys, especially when they do give the effort needed.
Well, and a perfect example of it is a guy like Al Durham, who has been playing quite well this year, shooting the ball very well most of the season. In the last 2 ball games against Purdue, he was 1 of 8. Against Iowa, he was 0 for 3. It's that kind of year for this ball club. It's those kinds of things that continue to crop up, and every single game now becomes such a major struggle in the sense of being able to find a way to get it done. They found ways to get it done back in December against some very good teams and against teams that weren't all that great. They struggled, and they were able to find ways to come out with a victory. In this situation, it doesn't seem that they get any relief whatsoever from those situations. And obviously, a guy like Jordan Bohannon, who has beaten Indiana twice this year, and I say he has beaten Indiana twice, not just the Hawkeyes, but him. He's been so spectacular with his three-point shooting in tough situations, and in all of them, especially the end of both ball games against the Hawkeyes this year, Bohannon, with guys in his face, has been able to somehow find a way to knock down these shots. And he had 4 of those kinds of threes in the game against the Hawkeyes this past Friday. He was able to find a way to get the ball in the hole from three-point range on 4 different occasions. One of those threes came at the end in the final minute of play to get the ball game tied. And then, of course, he had 3 more of those threes, again, all contested in the overtime period that just took the game right out of Indiana's hands. So you've got to give them credit. They did what they had to do, and they had a guy that was just able to find a way to get those shots to go down. On the other side of it, Indiana has not been able to get that part of it done.
Yeah, I was talking about that earlier, and that brings that point into perfect view, is Indiana does not have a guy like that, because he was hitting shots with guys hanging on him. And I'm like, golly, you can't do much about that. But when you have that, you have a lot, and so that's great for Iowa. But one of the true bright spots for Indiana in that game was Evan Fitzner. Evan has not played great of late, but in only 14 minutes, he chips in 11 points off the bench. So hopefully that can continue as they finish this season.
Yeah, he had all 11 of his points in the first half of that ball game. He got some obvious he started the contest, at least from when he went into the ball game, he knocked down 2 mid-range jump shots, and that was critical. And he also had a lay-in in that segment. And then he got a little confidence in the sense that he was not afraid to take the 3. And I'm not saying that he was ever afraid to take the 3, but you just never I think he doubted that he was going to make it a lot of the time. And he did knock down a 3 in this ball game as well. He didn't get as much of an opportunity to play in the second half, but again, part of that was due to the personnel that was on the floor and the way the ball game was being played at that point. But like I said, and like you said, the fact that Evan Fitzner was able to be a bright spot in this particular contest and bring about some scoring, not just from outside, but even in mid-range areas, that's a critical thing for this basketball team. And guys have to step up at this point in the season. If this struggle is going to end, and obviously we thought it was going to end sometime back, it has not. If it's going to end, these kids have to continue to fight like they did in these last 2 ball games. They're going to have to find a way to get some shots to go down. And if they do that and they can end up winning a couple of ball games here at the end of the regular season to kind of close this thing out, you never know what could happen from a confidence standpoint. You get into the Big Ten tournament, all these kinds of things can happen as a positive. Unfortunately, right now, it doesn't feel that way for the fan base because this has been such a struggle this season.
Yeah, one stat that really jumped off at me, both teams made 26 field goals on 63 and 62 shots, almost identical. But from the assist standpoint, Indiana with 10 and Iowa 18. Much more sharing of the ball offensively, much more cohesive, and I think that made a little bit of a difference for the Hawkeyes.
Well, no question. And let's face it, this ball club, too, and I want to say this, and I don't mean this to be a negative, but they're not getting any calls. It's that simple. I don't know, did you guys have a chance to review or look at replays of the ball that we thought came off of Tyler Cook and went out of bounds?
I didn't see it past the game. I thought instantly that it was Indiana's ball because when a defender is swiping down and the ball goes in the opposite direction away from him, like, how does that off on him?
Exactly.
It was just physics. I mean, to me, it was purely physics. I mean, his hand's coming straight down. The ball goes straight out at a 90-degree angle. That's not possible.
And so I don't get that. I don't know how that's possible that call could be made that way after a review. I mean, it is just. And
that's the part that really kills you is when they have the ability to review it.
Right. I mean, it wasn't like they just made the call and then lived with it. They went and reviewed it. And then they acted like we can't overturn it because it's not conclusive. Well, I don't know how more conclusive it could be from a physics standpoint. If the ball goes into an opposite direction after somebody touches it, it's off the person that it went off of. I mean, it to me it boggles my mind. And then for the officials to swallow their whistle when Juwan gets the rebound on the last shot. And two guys are hanging on him, holding on to him so he can't even go up. That's a foul. And that didn't happen either. So all that said, that's all sour grapes at this point, and it makes us look like we're making excuses. But the fact of the matter is this basketball team continues to struggle. They've got to find a way to work their way out of it. They've got 4 games left to do that in the regular season and the Big Ten tournament. The thing for me is that this team, I want to see a turnaround here at the end of the season to regain some of that confidence level that they had earlier in the year. And if they can get that back, then I think they can maybe go off into the sunset at least feeling semi-decent about what this season has produced and the struggles that they've had, that they can get past this at some point.
Yeah, but how crazy is it to hear people talk about a 13 and 14 team saying they're probably out of the NCAA tournament now? That's mind-boggling to me.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question. But the Big Ten has been such a tremendous conference this year. I mean, the games that are played, every game is a contested matchup. It's unbelievable how close these games have been, how many teams, even the bottom feeders, have been really outstanding at times and have been able to win ball games against some of the top echelon teams on a consistent basis. That's, to me, the biggest thing about the Big Ten and how good a conference this has been all season long. And the Rutgers, the Illinois, the Penn States now, all of these teams have found a way to start winning again. That's why I still have hope for this Indiana basketball team.
Certainly so. Make sure you catch Don tonight with Coach Archie Miller on the radio program. Don, I can't thank you enough as always. We greatly appreciate you joining us.
Well, I appreciate you having me. Obviously, this has been a real struggle for everybody, but no more so than for the coaching staff and for these players. These guys are busting their butts and hurting big time after these losses, but they continue to come back and perform again, and we hope that continues this week against Wisconsin on Tuesday night, and then, of course, on Saturday against Michigan State. No rest for us wicked.
That's right. Don Fisher, the great Don Fisher, thank you so much. Make sure you catch him with Coach Archie Miller tonight right here, Don. Thank you, sir, and have a great day.
Thanks for having me, Jim.
And that was Don Fisher, the voice of the Indiana Hoosiers, joining us as he does each and every week. So appreciate Don joining us. Glad we could have him on to talk some Indiana basketball. And speaking of talking Indiana basketball, we will be back to do just that right after this break. Stay with us. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat.
Now that the boys are here again, the boys are back in town.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs, Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
This is Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat.
And I'm Justin Kalen with Indiana Sports Beat.
Justin, what's your favorite show?
It's got to be Indiana Sports Beat, but I'm not ever sure where to find it.
Well, you can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for it each and every day. Or, of course, on Big X Sports Radio, 1450, 96.1 WXVW in Southern Indiana, and 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
If you want to get your day off to a good start, then stop at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs. While you're filling your gas tank, you could fill your own tank with a hot breakfast or try one of Billy Joe's daily lunch special. Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart opens at 5 a.m. and everything is made fresh daily. And if you bring your own mug, coffee is only 50 cents. And Billy Joe's also has free air. The best place to start your day is at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us Research Program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become 1 in a million.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
This hour is brought to you by Sweetland Waste and Removal Service, a homegrown company serving Southern Indiana since 1995.
Oh, yeah, baby. If that don't get you cranked up, I don't know what does. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat here on this late February day. Hope everything's going well for you. Thanks a lot for taking us along wherever you're going, whatever you may be doing. Thanks a lot for taking Indiana Sports Beat along for the ride. Jim Coyle with you, as always. Justin Kalen high atop the crew chief's box.
That's right, as always.
A lot to get to today. Chronic Hoosiers on the program. Mike Schuman's on with us. We're going to hear from Archie Radio, Romeo, and Lily King. Before we get to that, Tennessee is complaining, has made an official complaint to the SEC. Did you see this?
I did not, no.
They had a tight game with LSU, who was having a season for the ages for them. They knocked off Tennessee the other night in a close game. It came down to a last second. There was a call at the end, which actually was the right call. But the official that made that call, it was brought to the attention of Rick Barnes, Tennessee's coach, a picture that he posted on social media a few years ago where he's holding an LSU shirt and says, "Go Tigers," Geaux, how they spell go, you know, in Cajun. But that's not going over too well with the folks in Tennessee. So that's kind of ironic. But staying on the LSU theme, also yesterday it came out that Will Wade, that is his name, Will Wade, the coach of LSU, along with Sean Miller, will be subpoenaed in the college basketball corruption case. Arizona Wildcats coach Sean Miller and LSU coach Will Wade have been notified that they will be subpoenaed for the federal college basketball corruption trial. That's according to Yahoo Sports' Pat Forty, Pete Thamel, and Dan Wetzel. ESPN's .com's Mark Schlabach reported in February of last year that FBI wiretaps caught Miller and Christian Dawkins talking about payments for recruits.
Not good.
Per Schlabach, what's that?
Not good.
No. Per Schlabach, Miller discussed giving $100,000 to land DeAndre Ayton, who would go on to be the number one pick last year in the draft. Miller sat out a game against Oregon in the aftermath of that, but later denied bribery allegations, saying he never has and never will pay a recruit. Of note, former Wildcats assistant Emmanuel Book Richardson has already pleaded guilty to a bribery charge. So, doesn't look good for Sean Miller. But getting back to LSU, Will Wade, they had a meteoric rise to the top of the SEC up there battling Kentucky, and they're tied with Kentucky and Tennessee for the lead right now, I think.
Yep.
But it looks like that may come with a cost. A cost that's already been paid to players, apparently.
Yeah. And that's surprising because I hadn't heard anything about Will Wade and LSU throughout this whole ordeal.
Oh, yeah. That's been talked about. But it's definitely there. But not looking good for those guys.
No.
I mean, innocent until proven guilty. But a lot of smoke. There's a lot of smoke there. Been hearing about Sean Miller since this happened, and Will Wade, to be honest with you. So we'll certainly find out.
Where there's smoke, there's almost always fire.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to waste their time bringing in a subpoena if they don't got something.
Right.
Hey, Kelly's listening to us in New Albany. Thanks a lot. Hope you're having a great day. We appreciate you. Hit us up on the text line if you wish, 812-269-6367. Questions, comments. You got a question or comment for Chronic Hoosier later on in the program, or Mike Schumann. Get those in as well. Let us know what else you're thinking about today.
Got a comment on Twitter from Joel. Writes in that Hackahap is not good basketball.
It's not. But who the hell said anything about good? I'm talking about winning. Is losing 12 out of 13 games good basketball?
Negative.
No. Absolutely. Hell no, it's not. They need to win. And like I said, right now, within the constraints of the rules, win. Just win. Whatever it takes. Ethan Happ's a player that people have you heard Archie in the quote you played earlier. He talked about Minnesota won the game. Why? Because the last 6 or 7 minutes, they forced him to go to the free throw line where he could not convert, and Minnesota won the game. You think Minnesota regrets that decision? You think they care whether or not it's beautiful aesthetically basketball? No. It's sad. I'll grant you that it's sad. You got to resort to that.
Yeah.
But that's where they are. That's where they are right now. They need to win. So, if you think this has not been a topic of conversation on that team, you're out of your mind.
Yeah.
They are well versed that he is a 35% free throw shooter. Now, you don't want Deron Davis and Juwan Morgan fouling him. Justin Smith's another one I forgot. There's another 5 fouls you can throw away.
There you go.
Don't need him. Don't need him. Put him in there. He does not get a shot off, and I'm not kidding. You put his ass on the free throw line.
Did you ever think
the
that
players to do this? You've got Clifton Moore, you've got Jake Forster, and you've got Justin Smith. There's 3 guys that can guard him and foul him.
Yeah.
And that's 15 possessions. That's going to be the majority of the game if those 15 possessions are centered around him, because they're not going to have maybe 15 more possessions.
Yeah.
And if all 15 possessions his ass goes to the free throw line and he's hitting a third of those shots, ball game. Now, no, it's not beautiful. It's not great basketball. No, it's not. I agree. I don't care. I'm here to win. If I'm here to win, that's my goal. It's to win.
Did you ever think back in the beginning of the season when we were talking about Justin Smith and how much he's grown in the 48-inch vertical that he would be one of the throwaway players you name in a situation like this?
Nope. You know, and I was thinking, it's funny you bring that up because I was also thinking of something else last night. I don't think that he has improved one bit over 2 years. Now, I'm sure that is not entirely accurate. It's almost virtually impossible not to improve. But I haven't seen growth. And to further the point, his ass is on the bench because of that. He played, what did I say, 6 minutes?
Yep.
Or 16 minutes. I don't know.
I think
it wasn't
6,
much.
Yeah. It was single digits.
Yeah, okay, it was 6 minutes. His ass is on the bench. Why? Because he's not growing as a player. He's not putting out the effort. That's on him.
Yeah.
So,
but another question to ask is, like we've been asking all year, why did it take so long for the coaching staff to see that?
I don't think it took them long to see that. Who the hell? I said this before. Who are they going to put in?
That's true, too, yeah.
Deron Davis was not there yet. Deron finally got back to that point where he got healthy enough to start playing, and then when he did, it's like, oh, hey, look at Deron here.
Yeah.
Come on. And Deron's a man. Deron comes to play.
Yeah.
I love Deron Davis.
Same.
I think Deron Davis is going to be a badass next year. If he can stay healthy, badass.
Yeah.
Now, that's a dude that comes to play. That's a guy that I don't recall ever faulting his effort.
Well, I mean, mainly because there hasn't been a lot of effort to fault because he hasn't been on the
when
floor
he's
a
been
whole
there,
lot.
you haven't. What happens when he plays? He usually plays well.
I agree.
I mean, last year he had a problem with free throws, but this year when he's been in there, he's been, other than missing that shot at Arkansas, man, he's done well. He's really given a great effort. He's provided quality minutes, and as he got healthy, those minutes became better for Indiana. The healthier he got, the better he was, and the better it benefited Indiana.
Yeah, I mean, he's the big body that Indiana doesn't really have another one of. So for him to come in and produce the way he has down low, both offensively and defensively, I think Deron Davis has been one of the staples to this Indiana, well, I don't want to say Indiana team, but the Indiana effort level as of late, the past couple of weeks. I think Deron Davis is a big factor in that.
Love to have seen him have the last shot against Iowa. Love to see him get the ball in his hands because he's going to try to score, or he's probably going to get fouled.
Yeah.
And I got no problem with Deron Davis at the free throw line.
There's another statement you didn't think you would say at the beginning of the year.
No, not based on last year, but again, the year before that, when he was a freshman, he was golden at the line, man.
Yeah.
That's what first made him stand out to me when he was a freshman, was his free throw shooting. He was ice cold, man. He would step up, and I'm like, boom, look at this dude.
Yep.
Freshman coming in, knocking down some big ones. He did that. Last year that went away, but he's back. The dude's got his mind right. He's ready to play, and I love his game. I hope he can stay healthy because he's going to be the man in the middle next year. Trace Jackson-Davis will be in, but he's going to be a freshman, man. I got news for you. Deron Davis will kick his ass.
Yeah. Well, and Trace isn't a predominantly post player either. I mean, he swings to the outside.
Right, but look at the size of Deron. He's a man.
Yeah,
that's a man right there. I don't want. He's got that ass that clears out a lane, brother. I mean, he's got it, and looking forward to seeing what he can do tonight. I don't know. I wonder who's going to pick up the job of guarding Ethan Happ. If that's going to go to Juwan Morgan, but
I'd say Juwan, yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it'll be interesting to find out.
Joker texts in, says there's only been one time when Wisconsin basketball has been good basketball, and that was when they beat UK in the NCAA 2015 Final Four.
Remember that quite well. Can't think of the dude's name. That was their guy. Who was their guy?
Was it Frank Kaminsky then?
Yeah. Big Frank the Tank.
Yeah.
Frank the Tank. Frank the Tank.
And then Tim also texts in and says, Smith always seems to have one highlight shot per game, but disappears after that, like the monstrous slam he had in the Iowa game.
Absolutely. Hey, we talked about Lily King. You have that?
I do, yep.
Lily King led Indiana, the women's swimming and diving program, I'll get off basketball for just a minute, to their only sixth ever Big Ten championship. The men's program has dominated the Big Ten, used to dominate the Big Ten.
Yeah.
So the swimming and diving program at Indiana is well known. But the women's program, just their sixth to ever win behind Lily King, who had her final collegiate performance for Indiana, normal collegiate performance. Great dominant fashion. Let's hear about Lily.
I'm here with Lily King, who just won yet another Big Ten championship. She went to the 2016 Rio Olympics and won 2 gold medals for Team USA. What are your goals from here, Lily?
Go faster. I still got to shave and get a little bit more rest in me, so just go as fast as I can at NCAAs. That's all I can hope for.
You have so many titles under your belt. How do you feel after this particular race?
It's awesome. I decided in November, I said I want to go 55 Big Tens because I want to do it in my pool. And it's awesome. I've been trying to do that for so long now, so pretty special.
Lily King, the female equivalent of Mark Spitz, almost for Indiana.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, seriously, she is the bookend. She didn't win 7 gold medals in an Olympics, but she's pretty daggone good swimmer, and she's not done. Yeah. So how about that for male and female swimmers from different eras, but dominant? Congratulations and good luck.
Yeah,
on the rest.
That's what I was going to say, is that she has only been in one Olympics, so don't sell her short yet. She could get that.
Oh
7.
No, yeah, she's not done.
She's a beast.
Not done. She's not done. Hey, get your quotes, comments, questions in. Text line number 812-269-6367. Like or follow us on Facebook. You can find the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Apple Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google Play. Listen live or at any time on the dailyhoosier.com or indianasportsbeat.com. Of course, we're carried on the Big X Sports Radio, 1450, 96.1, and 97.7, The Ref in Evansville. We got a lot coming up. Chronic Hoosiers on the show today. Mike Schuman's on today. We're going to hear from Archie Radio and Romeo, all coming up next. Stay tuned. We're back with more Indiana Sports Beat right after this.
You know the rhythm is right. You know the rhythm is right. We gotta rock all night. We gotta rock all night. You know the rhythm is right. We gotta rock all night. You know the rhythm is right.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat.
And I'm Justin Kalen with Indiana Sports Beat.
Justin, what's your favorite show?
It's got to be Indiana Sports Beat, but I'm not ever sure where to find it.
Well, you can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for it each and every day. Or, of course, on Big X Sports Radio, 1450, 96.1 WXVW in Southern Indiana, and 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
If you want to get your day off to a good start, then stop at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs. While you're filling your gas tank, you could fill your own tank with a hot breakfast or try one of Billy Joe's daily lunch special. Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart opens at 5 a.m. and everything is made fresh daily. And if you bring your own mug, coffee is only 50 cents. And Billy Joe's also has free air. The best place to start your day is at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us Research Program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become 1 in a million.
Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin-yang, come along.
Well, come all along, and thanks a lot for doing this. Thanks a lot for taking Indiana Sports Beat along for the ride today. Jim Coyle with you. As always, Justin Kalen high atop the crew chief's box.
That's right.
We've got a big program, as always. Chronic Hoosiers on the show today. Mike Schumann from the Daily Hoosier. We'll hear from Archie Miller, Romeo Langford. Lot to get to. Indiana hosts Wisconsin tonight at the Simon Scott Assembly Hall. But before we get to all that, let's get to the headlines with Justin.
All right, here are a look at your Daily Hoosier headlines for this 26th day of February 2019. As Indiana men's basketball set to take on Wisconsin tonight at 9 in Simon Scott Assembly Hall. IU women's basketball travels to Northwestern to take on the Wildcats tonight at 8. And Indiana basketball commit Armand Franklin was voted the 2019 Indianapolis City Player of the Year. Those are a look at your Daily Hoosier headlines on this 26th day of February 2019. For more information, make sure to check out thedailyhoosier.com.
Yeah, you mentioned the women's team. They are traveling to Northwestern, as Justin said. Sunday, they are back home for their final regular season game. Make sure, yes, their final regular season game against Purdue. So you guys need to pack the hall for the women's team.
That's right.
As they try to avenge the loss. It was a little bit of an upset, I think. They went up to Mackey earlier in the season without Allie Patberg, I think, and lost that tough one there. But I'm going to bet that they get that one back on Sunday. Before we get to that, Indiana is hosting Wisconsin tonight at the Simon Scott Assembly Hall, as the Hoosiers are looking for an elusive win, taking on probably the player of the year in the Big Ten, and Ethan Happ.
Yep.
We've been talking about Ethan this this morning. He's a great player. Averages a double-double, man. Averages 10 rebounds, I think 14 points. But he shoots 35% at the free throw line. 35%. I swear, I can shut my eyes. I promise you. If you give me 10 free throws, I promise you I will put a blindfold on, and I will hit better than 35%.
So you'd hit 4.
I minimum.
I almost want to take you up on that.
Oh, we'll do it one day, and we'll record it and we'll put it on. I guarantee I don't see how it's possible to play basketball as well as he does, and to shoot that horrifically. To me, that is so unacceptable. If that guy was on my team, I would be. I'm gonna tell you, you'd sure take his 14 and 10 every game, but you look at what Minnesota did to him. Minnesota. They lost to Minnesota because he can't hit free throws. So at the end of the day, what good does it do you if you can't do what it takes to win the games? And that's got to be a critical thing for him. I'm surprised more teams are not taking advantage of that. But Indiana taking on the Wisconsin Badgers tonight at the Simon Skjodt Assembly Hall. Another thing, this is a late tip. It's a 9 p.m. game. Yeah. Of course, you can catch that game right here. It's 9 o'clock Eastern time, 8 o'clock Central. Tune in for the call of Don Fisher. The pregame starts an hour earlier, 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central. So tune in, your Hoosiers, if you're not watching it. Of course, everybody would prefer to listen to Don Fisher.
Oh, yeah.
On the call. Makes everything better, especially with a win. Yeah, and, earlier I was talking about ESPN has been playing old IU Wisconsin games all night, and I was watching one of those, and the one they have on right now is when Jawan was a freshman.
That's way back.
And he's playing. And I'm watching him. He's playing. Man, he played well as a freshman. He's just filled out a little bit more right now. But I'll tell you something I noticed. He had that freshman energy.
Yeah.
He was energetic. He made a block on a play, and he showed a lot of energy. And I'm like, man, where'd that energy go?
Yeah.
Where'd that exuberance go? Because we've talked a lot about this team not having that, not showing that emotion outward. They just don't show it. He used to, because I saw it. It's gone away, and I don't know if that's because he's just focused, but it's definitely something that stood out in my mind.
Tough to look energetic and happy all the time when your team's losing the way they are. I mean, I think if anybody on the team still plays with the high energy level, it's a guy like Juwan Morgan. I mean, he's done pretty much all he can do this year in terms of being a leader, going out there and just playing the way that he wants everybody else to play. So I think if anything, if there's anybody on this team that plays with the energy needed night in and night out, I'd have to say Juwan.
It may be hard, but if you're not doing it, you don't belong on the floor.
True.
That's my opinion on that. And if you're not doing it, this is a reason Indiana is losing these games, because they don't have those complete complement of guys that play like that all the time. Yeah. They don't have guys that play talented and all out. I mean, this is not an Indiana-sponsored show. I mean, so I'm not going to – I don't want to blast people, but I'm also not going to ignore it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to ignore the fact that, well, I don't have to. The stuff Justin Smith, huge disappointment. And if you don't believe me, well, that's why his ass sat on the bench the last game, played 6 minutes. Started all year long. Well, now, finally, Deron Davis is healthy enough to play more, and that's the case. Yeah. It's sad, but that's a perfect example of what I'm talking about. That is a perfect example of what I'm talking about, of not bringing it. Just not bringing it. And I'm talking about hardly ever bringing it, much less bringing it most of the time. Yeah. But they've got to have players that do that bring it every night, and that bring it with talent. And until that has happened, until Archie has been able to bring in those players, this is what you're going to get. Yeah. You've got a hodgepodge here. You've got a mix match of a couple different regimes, and you've had a lot of guys hurt.
Yeah.
So, and they don't have a shooter. This has been a perfect storm of a lot of stuff for Indiana to have not the season most people expected.
Yeah. Well, and tonight is not going to be an easy test either. I mean, you think about this Wisconsin team, they're going to try to slow Indiana down. They try to slow everybody down. They want to make it a half-court game because that's where they have the advantage. Archie actually talked about that last night on the coaches show in terms of trying to speed up this Wisconsin team to get the best results.
Well, you got to get some defensive stops, and you got to get into transition. I mean, that's the one thing. You can't allow them to just either get you in foul trouble with Hap or how they play physical game inside and keep you in the half court all day long, where you're constantly in a slugfest against a big team who's very, very good, who's going to pack the paint, and, you know, they're going to make things hard. But against Wisconsin, there's two things. Number one, you've got to take good shots, and you got to make sure that your defense is set, because if you take quick shots against them, it's like turning the ball over, because they're going to be running their offense all night long. I mean, they're methodical in the way they do it. And I think you got to play without fouling. It's hard to say that, but with the way that they play, you have to find a way to play is extremely hard without fouling because of the way that they post you and drive you in so many different spots. And they're a good three-point shooting team as well. So you pick your poison. Is Hap on an island? Are you trying to help where you can give up threes? So you're constantly in that regard where you're trying not to, you know, overcommit where he's just zinging the ball out and their shooters are getting great shots. So it's a catch-22 a little bit on what you're willing to give up against them. But you can't turn the ball over and take bad shots. That just puts you on defense a lot more. So for us, we got to be smart. We got to really try to pick and choose our opportunities when we get defense to offense to strike early, get it down the floor and get to the basket. And then in the half court, obviously we're going to strive to get post touches and do our thing, but we got to take good shots and not turn it over.
The Reavers kid has come.
Yeah, that's a very key. Not turning the ball over 17 times. That will help. And how about you hit some free throws again?
Yeah.
Either of those, they do either of those against Iowa, they also win the game.
Yep.
Doing the little things, man. You got to do all the little things. You got to do the things you need to do to win. And that includes being fundamentally sound, which they haven't been. Archie also talked about something on a very, very positive note. Not sure if you have this, but in regards to Jerome Hunter.
Yes.
The question was asked about Jerome Hunter, if he has been cleared to play, and that's not the case, but he has been cleared to begin non-contact basketball activities because of the medications he's on, which basically are blood thinners, I believe. I don't have that. Probably retract that. I don't know for certain. I do, but I don't. So. But because of the medications he's on, he's not cleared for contact play. But he has been cleared for non-contact basketball duty, which is good. It's a great sign moving forward, because I'm telling you, not having him this year, gigantic hole.
Yeah.
This kid can play. I mean, he can play. And he's going to be an important component if he can get up to speed, because, man, he's just a good one. And he's got a motor. Yeah. This dude's got a motor. He has emotion. I've seen him play. He has that emotion, and they really missed a lot without having him this year. And I hope to goodness he can certainly get back and get going next year, because, wow, good basketball player and certainly a key component to that recruiting class of Archie's.
Yeah, let's hear what Archie had to say about Jerome.
Team.
No, Jerome has not been cleared to practice, and it's more so anything that the medications and some of the things that he's on won't allow him to do that. He has now been cleared to do basketball-related non-contact work. So the last 2 days he's done his first back-to-back individuals with our staff, so he's went about 30 minutes. We have to build him back up, obviously, conditioning, but happy he's starting to get a little bit more basketball involved and starting to get going here a little bit. It's been a tough year for him.
Yeah, it's been a tough year for him, been a tough year for everybody without him. So wish him the best of luck. Hopefully he can get that put behind him and be a big part of this team next year, because, man, could they have used him. Yeah. But it is what it is. Romeo also How about a rarity hearing from Romeo? He was on the Archie Miller radio last night talking with Don Fisher. They talked about just all kinds of goofy things, not much about basketball, just about life and being a student and being a player and this and that. And I'm not sure what you have pulled up, but
one funny exchange that I thought came away from the Romeo interview last night. You mentioned a little bit earlier in the show that he is very soft-spoken. He doesn't really say much. But Don asked him what he does, or what the team does, rather, outside of basketball. I thought this answer was pretty good.
Really, all we do is play Fortnite together.
Now, are you good at it?
Yeah, I'm the best on the team.
Well, I just talked to Devontae. I interviewed Devontae for tomorrow night's ball game, and he said he was by far the best on the team.
No, he's good enough, but he's not like me.
Not like you. What makes you so much better than these other guys?
I'm just a real good team player. I feel like I make everybody, when they play on my squad, we get dubs.
You just make them better. You make them all better?
Yeah, I do.
Well, that's what a good player does, right? A great player does that.
Yes,
I mean, Larry Bird was one of the greatest at making everybody else look great, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How about Damon Bailey?
And, there's been a lot of speculation that there's the camaraderie on this team is not great and all that. I don't think that's true.
No.
I don't think there's anything to that. I think that's just blown up because the losses and people are looking for reasons and they're making them up without anything to substantiate it. And I think that furthers that along. But funny hearing from Romeo. It's just, and we'll hear from more throughout the week. We'll hear from that. But we got a lot coming up on the show today, as I said. Chronic Hoosiers with us, as is always. Mike Shumlin from the Daily Hoosier will be with us as well. We've got plenty more to get to. Stay tuned. Indiana Sports Beat is back right after this.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
This is Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat.
And I'm Justin Kalen with Indiana Sports Beat.
Justin, what's your favorite show?
It's got to be Indiana Sports Beat, but I'm not ever sure where to find it.
Well, you can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for it each and every day. Or, of course, on Big X Sports Radio, 1450, 96.1 WXVW in Southern Indiana, and 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
If you want to get your day off to a good start, then stop at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs. While you're filling your gas tank, you could fill your own tank with a hot breakfast or try one of Billy Joe's daily lunch special. Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart opens at 5 a.m. and everything is made fresh daily. And if you bring your own mug, coffee is only 50 cents. And Billy Joe's also has free air. The best place to start your day is at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us Research Program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become one in a million.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry.
All my friends know the low rider. The low rider is a little higher.
All right, welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat, joined now by our good friend Chronic Hoosier. Chronic, how are you, my friends?
Man, I'm a little under the weather today, but this is as clear as I've ever heard you, so I'm doing great this Tuesday morning. How about yourself, Jim?
Sounds good, buddy. Sorry you're under the weather. Hope you get feeling better. Hopefully that Indiana can give you a win tonight as they host the Wisconsin Badgers to hasten that good feelings that you need to get as they welcome in the Badgers. And Ethan Happ tonight, probably the Big Ten's Player of the Year, into Assembly Hall for a late 9 p.m. tip.
Yeah, it's, my body kind of feels in a way parallel this season. You reach the point where it's just the grind has worn me down, yet again with the Hoosiers having to come home on the heels of another loss. Just brutal. Just really tough result for this team to swallow. After playing them straight up for 40 minutes. To lose like they did, yet again, seeing another player go off. My man Eddie Cotton put together a compilation yesterday. It's just some of the ridiculous shots that the Hoosiers have seen opposing players make against them. And it's just the cruel fate that they just keep seemingly finding a way to fall on Indiana. I mean, here you got a team that's actually not a bad three-point defending team, allowing 32.4% on the season. It's like 72nd in the country out of over 350 teams. And yet, late in the clutch, there always seems to be one guy that will just go off and absolutely stick a dagger in your heart. And this time it was Bohannon. Just tough pill for the Hoosiers to swallow. And a night that seemed like it was going to put an end to the skids, at least allow them to hopefully pivot coming in the home stretch. And now they're faced with the same thing yet again here in Assembly Hall tonight. With just 2 weeks in the regular season remaining, it certainly feels like, I know we've said it, but it's now or never for these guys. The bottom of the Big Ten is not particularly good, and it's a little bit cluttered right now with the Hoosiers kind of battling Illinois, Rutgers, Nebraska, Penn State, Northwestern, trying to figure out exactly how that Wednesday at the Big Ten tournament is going to shake out. And there is still very much a Thursday berth possibly in store for them. But they literally, with their backs against the wall now, they can't afford to let another game slip if they want to make it to Thursday in the tournament, at least to start with.
Yeah, the thing that cracks me up is we're talking about a 13-14 team, and yet I'm hearing people saying they're probably out of the NCAA tournament now. It cracks me up because of that record, but this year is such a different beast because of the Big Ten strength and a lot of other things. But they have a crazy outside shot, but it would require winning out. But it's still there, and it's mind-boggling.
No, it is. I mean, obviously, the strength of the non-conference season, and then when you throw in the early wins in the initial Big Ten games, it puts it in play mathematically. I am now firmly in the camp that it's not going to happen. I mean, absent a miracle, absent a run to a run out here for the end of the regular season, and probably have to make Sunday in the Big Ten tournament. I mean, honestly, if not win it outright, it's just been that abysmal of a streak here. And yes, you've got the Michigan State game in the midst of this abysmal run, and I just struggle, even with as much parity across the country, even with a week of a bubble as it is right now. it's going to take nothing short of a miracle. And, you know, in the same breath, you can say, yes, it's still, you know, there's still a glimmer of hope alive. But I think you should also have to condition that with, you know, the realistic or the pragmatic approach, saying there's still very much possibility they'll qualify for the NIT at this point. I think that is probably even more so in the cards than an NC2A berth is. You know, if you're just looking at odds and probabilities here and mathematical outcomes, and until they prove otherwise, I mean, they are in the middle of the skid of historic proportions here. This is just about as bad as any Indiana basketball team has ever been in conference. You know, you have to go back to the 08-09 season, Tom Crean's first year, to find anything similar stretch. But then when you contextualize it, I mean, you're still talking apples and watermelons at this point. These ain't even oranges. This is an entirely another beast right now, as far as how they got where they are right now. And it's you know, to see another game that's literally just inches away from tipping the other direction for Indiana, it's really tough. It's really tough pill to swallow as an Indiana fan. I can't imagine that it's any easier for those that are inside the locker room with this team right now. And I think at the end of the day, you know, we absolutely have to guard against talking about moral victories. I think that's not what anybody that cheers for or plays for Indiana University basketball is all about. But you got to credit the team for continuing to battle through it. When it looked like for a time there that they had effectively thrown the towel in on the season. You know, the last two games have certainly given signs of life. You know, I found it interesting in Iowa. You know, you've got Arch going, I believe he went 11 deep in the rotation, all the while playing Romeo all 44 minutes of the game. You know, he still continues to get some contributions out of guys. He's throwing more guys in the mix here, which I've been advocating for a minute, simply because you've got to turn the season into a positive somehow. And at the very least, getting some of these younger guys a little more experience, giving them a little more run and game time in the Big Ten. You can't replicate that in any way, shape, or form. And you know, when you're not in season, it's impossible to do. We've got guys who are new to the league, new to the team, who are still trying to get acclimated to the length, speed, and strength of Division I basketball, especially Big Ten basketball. Like to see that now. I guess the next thing is you'd like to see a little bit more growth from them as well as they go along this journey and start to maturate. So again, though, tremendous opportunity on the table. And, you know, I think caution would advise that we start looking too far down the road as far as what a postseason might look like for Indiana. At the end of the day, though, they've got to snap this skid. They've got to find a way to get some W's in the column. And perhaps see where they're, you know, we've still got 2 weeks left, 4 games remaining to figure out exactly what the path to a Big Ten title is going to look like, at least in the tournament. And for Archie, I think that's exactly what this team has to do, is focus solely on those immediate goals, figure out ways to win each individual game, and just start piecing together a couple of W's and see if you can create a wave and try to ride it a little bit further than what the horizon appears to be right now.
Yeah, I think if people want to get an indication of what it's been like for Archie, go back and look at the box scores over a period of time. The last 2 games, you're going to see 11 deep. You just mentioned that. 2 games are 11 deep on that roster because he can now. But to go back a little bit further than that, and you'll see a small 7-8-man rotation because he didn't have anybody. And unfortunately, some of the guys that were playing are guys that are not playing right now, i.e. Justin Smith, who has been a starter all year. The last game, 6 minutes, because Duran is finally available to really step up in there. Archie hasn't had all this at his disposal, and I promise you, it's made a huge, huge difference. He talked about Jerome Hunter yesterday. He's cleared for non-contact basketball, which is a great sign to hear about, but another big-time player that I think would have made a huge impact on this team that he didn't have. And it's been a tough year for Archie. I think people forget that his not only is his job to win, but I promise you, there's nothing he wants more than to win. But not having the parts to put together, it just makes it tough.
No, it makes it really tough, and it's not just in-game matchups. I think what people forget, you know, the bulk of the time these guys put in and cook all in practice. I mean, how are you going to replicate going up against teams like Purdue, like Michigan? You know, it's such a dynamic league, and there's so many extraordinarily talented players trying to scheme, trying to prepare for these matchups when, you know, your practice squad, you know, who exactly are your starters going up against during that injury stretch? You know, it's really hampered their ability to be competitive when the lights aren't on, when the popcorn is not popping in there. And I think we've seen a lot of that translate. Now, I am still inclined to believe at some point there's going to be some stories that leak about something else going on with this team, that really cut the legs out from underneath them internally. I'm not necessarily trying to hypothesize at the moment. There's certainly some talk swirling around, but I think at some point too, Archie's probably going to take a long hard look at the roster, figure out what options are available to him going forward, and really start to assert himself. I think you see it now with Justin Smith. I think we saw it a little bit over the last couple of games as far as he's tweaking with his rotations, figuring out exactly who he's going to reward and who he's going to effectively reprimand with the playing time for doing what it is he's trying to do with this basketball team. I think as you talk about the injuries, it's not just who's available. It's not just who they're practicing against. It's exactly how he can reinforce the messages he's trying to convey in real time during the games as well. Because let's be honest, when your availability at the guard spot is perhaps only one player or 1.5 player due to injuries available beyond what's on the floor right now, it kind of limits your options, especially when you look at the intricacies of in-game matchups and how that kind of ebbs and flows. You can say the same for the front court for that matter. I think the injuries, I think some of the issues that have plagued this team pretty much throughout the season have really limited his ability. I know we've heard a lot of fans. I think I've even said it myself on a couple of occasions. Just put the damn Hawkins on. I guess that sounds great on paper, but at the end of the day, too, Archie's getting paid a whole lot of money to win these games and to win every one of them. And yeah. I think perhaps we've seen a breaking point where he's having to kind of take stock of exactly what it's going to take to win these games. And sometimes that may mean just sitting the guy down for a little bit and letting him watch and maybe take some of those lessons the hard way from the Pine.
Absolutely. I've talked about the injuries and not having guys to play. And to further cement that, look at these last two games where he has had not a complete complement of the roster, but a pretty good one with being able to play 11 guys. They've taken Purdue, a team that is at the top of the Big Ten standings up there with Michigan State, and they took them to the wire. The next game at Iowa, another NCAA tournament team, they should have won that game, but they were in that game. They were on the road, and trust me, if they've had this compliment all year long, we're not having this conversation this way. It's going a different way. But unfortunately, we are where we are, and that's what it is.
No, it is. And, they are exactly who they are as far as currently constructed. They are, and again, I think you have to caution this a little bit. They are what they were when Archie arrived at the same time, too. We talked about it last week, and I do think it bears repeating that there were a lot of things that he inherited that he really didn't have the ability to change necessarily, whether it be due to APR restrictions, whether it be due just to availability of what else is available to him as far as putting it together. So I think it would be prudent for fans to exercise a little bit of caution as, obviously the disappointing season winds to a close. It's going to be a seminal moment for him this offseason when it comes to both developing what he's got, when it comes to determining who's coming back, who's not, maybe where somebody's going to go find a better fit elsewhere as a number of players start to round the back half of their career here. And that transfer portal, presents an even opportunity on the other side. You got to sit a year, but there's going to be a couple more years available perhaps for some guys, maybe even just one, I don't know. But I think there's going to have to be some soul searching done both through the end of the season as well as at its conclusion, trying to figure out exactly who these guys want to be as individual players, what type of program Archie's trying to put together, and exactly what steps he's going to take to achieve that going forward. Because clearly, what was here, while insufficient at times, while diminished for most of the time through a variety of reasons, mainly injuries, but also some other stuff, came into play this season. I think it's going to be important for them to kind of take stock and figure out what lessons were learned from this. How do you avoid them in the future? And what's going to get Indiana back on track to winning? Because at the end of the day, I think as patient as fans, for the most part, have been, and there's certainly been a lot of overreaction, I don't think that patience lasts very much longer. I truly don't. And I think with each continuing loss here as the season closes, those frustrations are just going to compound. That boiling point is going to inch a little bit higher. And we've all seen what Indiana basketball is like when it reaches that boiling point. It's not a particularly pleasant place. I can't imagine for the staff. I certainly can't imagine for the players, but especially fans, administrators, and everybody else around this program.
No, I definitely expect some changes next season. I think that it is definitely not lost on Archie that his job depends on it. His job depends on winning, especially at a place like Indiana, and I'm more than certain he can do that. He just had a tough hand handed to him this year, and hopefully they can get that taken care of. They all have a big game Saturday against Michigan State, another opportunity. They've beaten them already, so maybe they can go 2 for 2. How crazy would it be for Indiana to have the season they've had and then to sweep Michigan State?
You know what, with this team, I mean, that's the true paradox of this. You know, you talk about the 3-point percentages and some of these crazy shots that they've allowed to go in. I mean, there are so many things that are just absolutely bonkers that defy, you know, reasonable belief as far as how it's shaken out. Perhaps that's the most likely outcome, is the games that Indiana has the lowest chance of winning here to close are the ones that they seal up. We've already seen it with the Michigan State win and East Lansing. I certainly wouldn't be making any wagers on that, but at the end of the day, too, I certainly wouldn't be surprised. You know, there are so many things like this team's currently second in the nation in free throw percentage allowed. I mean, the one shot that's unguarded, and they were first as of last night. I mean, I don't know how you explain it, but, you know, I think you had mentioned it, the Ethan Happ strategy. You just hack the guy every time he gets the ball, force him to the line. Maybe that's Indiana's best defense going out. I don't know. Perhaps it's just time to think outside the box and just flip reality upside down, because basically that's what it feels like it's been to this point. So you might as well just embrace it, you know, swallow the red pill, and let's see what rabbit hole we go down together.
He is the mayor of Hoosier Nation. You know him as Chronic Hoosier. Brother, thank you. I look forward to we'll maybe see this weekend up at the spring ball gets started this weekend as well for football. Spring football starts for Indiana. So maybe we'll see you up there.
Football, it's the home opener for IU baseball as well. And you know what? I'm just as excited to get over at Annie Moorfield as I am to get to Park Coffeyfield. Undefeated Indiana softball, soon to be heading home as well. So it's nice as the weather's still pretty cold outside. It's certainly a breath of fresh air to see the boys of summer and spring and the girls back out on the diamond here. So
thanks a lot, brother.
Of the winter and spring. We'll see you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Chronic Hoosier with us as always. Appreciate him joining us. Always entertaining. We've got more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat. Mike Schumann joins us next. Stay tuned. We're back right after this.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
This is Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat.
And I'm Justin Kalen with Indiana Sports Beat.
Justin, what's your favorite show?
It's got to be Indiana Sports Beat, but I'm not ever sure where to find it.
Well, you can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for it each and every day. Or, of course, on Big X Sports Radio, 1450, 96.1 WXVW in Southern Indiana, and 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
If you want to get your day off to a good start, then stop at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs. While you're filling your gas tank, you could fill your own tank with a hot breakfast or try one of Billy Joe's daily lunch special. Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart opens at 5 a.m. and everything is made fresh daily. And if you bring your own mug, coffee is only 50 cents. And Billy Joe's also has free air. The best place to start your day is at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us Research Program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become one in a million.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
Today's guest is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. With hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer. Pizza, burgers, beer. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beats. Joined now by our good friend Mike Schumann from the DailyHoosier.com. Make sure you check out that free IU content, DailyHoosier.com with Mike Schumann. Mikey, how are you?
Doing great, Jim. How are you doing this morning?
I'm here. I'm at it. I'm going. We're at trying to get a win for the Indiana Hoosiers as they close the end of the season and head towards a potential playoff berth, maybe not into the postseason. We don't know if they'll get into the NIT. The craziness that I've talked about this team being sitting at 13 and 14 and hearing people say that they're probably out of the NCAA tournament now unless they win out, which is the case. But the fact that they were in that conversation the last couple of games is boggling my mind. But that is a testament to a few things: the strength of the Big Ten this year, but also a softer bubble this year. But Indiana's a team with some really good wins. They've got some really good wins. It's nuts, and they're in a position where they could continue to add to that. I mean, they were so close against Purdue, against Iowa, and they've got a lot of opportunities left. I mean, you've got a Michigan State team coming in on Saturday for them to play. Obviously, tonight they host Wisconsin, another NCAA tournament team. Those would be humongous wins, and it would be almost impossible. If they were to win out, it might be tough, and they could win a couple of games in the Big Ten tournament. It might be tough for them to keep Indiana out of the NCAA, as crazy as that sounds.
Yeah, but you kept using that word wins. What are wins again?
I noticed that. I noticed. That's why I threw the caveat in. But that requires winning these games, not getting close.
Yeah, I mean, 2 wins since December or since Christmas kind of taints your optimism just a little bit, seeing as how we're almost into March here. But it is strange that their resume right now kind of leaves them almost as likely to make the NIT as it does the actual NCAA tournament, because as everybody knows, you can't make the NIT without a record above 500, and they're not even there right now. But if they got there, that would put them, as you're saying, pretty close to the conversation for the NCAA, just because of how good the Big Ten is. So it's crazy right now, and even more crazy when you're thinking about just trying to get a win is trying to get it against Wisconsin, who in my mind is probably the biggest nemesis we've had over the last 15 years in terms
19 of 21 losses in that series. They've lost 19 of the last 21. And, because I talked about this earlier, I've had this conversation with Todd Leary. He goes, we owned them.
Yeah.
And that's true. And even though Indiana's lost 19 out of 21 to them, they still have a 25-game lead in the overall series. That's how far ahead Indiana has been in this. They never lost to Wisconsin before. I guess it probably started around the 6-25 season thereabouts, and just happened to catch that particular storm. But yeah, getting back to the postseason, it's weird because it's almost either an NCAA appearance or nothing, which is crazy. But it is what it is this season. And this team just does not, I've talked about it, they don't have the killer instinct. They don't have that guy. They don't have a Jordan Bohannon. They don't have a Carson Edwards. They don't have a guy that's going to knock down that big shot like that. Although I think that there are people that can do things that are not really getting used. I think there's a little bit too much reliance on Romeo. I think that he's magical with the ball sometimes, but also he's not magical with the ball sometimes. And I don't think that needs to be your only option. And it's twice now at the end of games where they had a chance to win, Butler, Iowa. They're trying to get the ball into his hands, and it gets blown up. Well,
right.
But what is plan B is what I want to always know. And in the Butler game, it just happened the way it happened. There was no plan B. Iowa, again, no plan B. They wanted to get the ball into Romeo's hands so he could try to drive. Romeo didn't feel that was open, so he chose the step back three. But my question is, there's got to be somebody open that could have probably taken that last shot. Using him as a decoy. I mean, get the ball to Deron Davis. That dude, he's been a workhorse underneath. Get it to Jawan. Get it to somebody to try something different. Because guess what? Where do they think the ball was going? Romeo. Everybody on the free planet knew this. So why is there not a plan B? I don't get that. That's the one thing that's a little upsetting.
Right. And I guess the counter to that is if Romeo had found Morgan or Davis in the post at that moment, I'm sure that Iowa would have trapped the post and forced a kick out. I mean, they're not going to let Morgan or Davis go one-on-one with the game on the line. They're going to force one of Indiana's shooters to make a shot, which goes to your original point there. Is
what shooters would that be?
We just don't have it. Exactly. We just don't have a Carson Edwards or Bohannon where you feel like, man, just get this guy a shot, and it's a good chance it's going to go in. We don't have that guy. So when we were walking up with 20 seconds left, you're not really feeling real good that anybody's going to step up and make a shot. I mean, we all think, and I'm sure Romeo's been reminded that he probably should have driven the ball there against Garza because he got switched off of his man onto Romeo, and it was a great matchup. But the reality is if Romeo would have looked to have driven the ball there would have been a quick double on him. So it's not like anything was going to be open other than, a guy like Green or Durham or Romeo shooting a three-pointer.
That kind of goes back to my point, Mike. You just said that there's going to be a quick double. Well, if they double him, what does that mean? Somebody's else is open. So
but
that's
it's not going to
be. Whole point.
It's not going to be anybody in the paint, though. That's the.
I don't care who it is. I really don't care who it is. I mean, I don't. If he's driving, yeah, I disagree because they've got to pull off because he is their number one nemesis. That's who they were told to focus on. Don't let him score. Don't let him beat you. And to shut those lanes down, that means somebody is going to be open. And I think that you could have found somebody for an easy short-range, mid-range jumper, anything. But it is what it is, and it went down how it went down. But I don't understand why when you continue to do the same things, expecting a different result.
Right, and these are the conversations that you have when you've lost 12 out of 13. I mean, if you just looked at that game in isolation, you went on the road to Iowa, a top 20 team, and took them to overtime, you'd be disappointed, but think, you know what, that's a good team on the road. You know, we played them hard and came up short. No big deal. Move on. But when it's in the context of what's going on this year, you know, every single game is just miserable, and especially these last 4 out of 5, which we wrote about yesterday, with the way they've lost these games. You know, they've had leads in the last couple of minutes and blown them against Purdue, at Iowa. The Ohio State game, they had a lead. The first matchup against Iowa, they had it down to 3 before Bohannon went crazy. So, I mean, they've been right there. And, you know, lately the issue has just been the inability to make plays down the stretch, like we're talking about, the game clinching type plays that they just can't come up with right now. It's gone from, you know, what we were talking about a few weeks ago is, these miserable starts. You know, they get down 20-2 against Michigan. Now it's good starts, you know, competing hard and can't finish.
Also there's simple things too, though. But when you get 22 opportunities at the free throw line and you only hit 55%, man, that's just to me, again, at the Division I level, that is not acceptable. The game's lost there. There's a game lost right there. I mean, you're not going to hit 100% at the line. I don't expect that. But 12 of 22, not acceptable.
Right. I mean, you're talking about an overtime game, so it only took one more of those to put you over the top. I mean, I view this season almost like a dam wall that just keeps springing leaks, and you keep putting Band-Aids on them, but another one pops up somewhere. It's just, you know, like Purdue. I mean, out of nowhere, 17 turnovers. Every game, something pops that you know, we thought we had gotten rectified, but it's just you know, maybe beyond all hope it's going to happen tonight against Wisconsin. But, you know, as you said, I was looking for that number, but I ran out of time yesterday. But 19 out of 21 against Wisconsin gives you very little hope, because it's the exact same Wisconsin team we've seen for the last 21 games. Nothing has changed. It's the exact same offense, the exact same slow down pace. And it's going to be the exact same. Indiana's going to have to make perimeter jump shots to win this game.
Yeah, and of course the man in the big part of the equation, Ethan Happ, probably the Big Ten Player of the Year for the Big Ten, maybe, but just a guy that's great. He averages a double-double. He's going to be a load down low. I don't know who's going to draw the assignment, whether it's going to be Juwan Morgan. I'd say it certainly won't be Deron Davis. He's too quick for him, I think. But I don't know what they're going to do with him. I don't know how they're going to address that, but we'll find out. But he is definitely a load for Indiana, and Indiana got a double dose of that against Iowa. So we'll see what they can do with Ethan Happ tonight.
Yeah, he's a real interesting matchup, because if you look at his stat line, he actually leads the team in assists by a wide margin. He averages almost 5 assists a game, which I don't watch enough of them, but it tells me that he's getting a lot of doubles, and he's really good at finding, you know, the right reversal out of the post, because they do have several really good three-point shooters above 40%. So, you know, that's the other part of the equation, that, you know, if your plan is to, you know, attack him or trap him every time he gets the ball, you're going to pay the price out on the perimeter with a host of three-point shooters like Trice and Davison, and they've got another big guy, Nate Ravers, that is a really good three-point shooter as well. He's the second coming of Happ, the guy that you're going to be hearing about here for the next 3 years, and wonder, you know, shouldn't he have graduated, you know, a decade ago? But so it's really damned if you do, damned if you don't with Happ in terms of how you're going to cover him. I actually think they will try Davis on him, but I agree with you. I think his footwork and his nimbleness down in the post is going to be a real challenge for Davis, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's some early foul trouble there. They're going to have to scramble if that happens.
I think another key component tonight is going to be the crowd. It's a 9:00 game. It's the end of a very disappointing season. How many people from Fort Wayne or the north side of Indianapolis are going to want to make that drive at that middle of the week? So I wonder if how that's going to play in, because India, they need everything that they can get as far as an advantage. And having a home crowd, they need to use that to every bit that they can if they show up tonight for them. And I hope that they are there, because I think that all those components have to come together, especially right now when this team is close, but they can't get over that hump, man.
Yeah, the crowd, I had the same thought. It's going to be interesting to see how many people are there. It's, I was really impressed with the way people showed up for the Purdue game, and I guess that shouldn't have come as a surprise, but with the way things are going, it still was to me a little bit. It was a really good crowd, but for all the reasons you said, I won't be surprised if it's a tough showing tonight. Also just throw in the fact that, it's Wisconsin. They're not a real exciting team to watch, and everybody's used to
unless you like winning.
Outcome. Yeah, I'm sure their fans have a completely different perspective on it, but it's not, the beautiful art of the game when you're watching Wisconsin from the opponent's perspective. It's frustrating. And so why put yourself all through that if, to your point, if you're driving that far, you're going to be getting home well after midnight. So it's really going to test people's, resilience with being a fan as well. But, if you're a true believer, as we said at the outset here, there's still postseason hope here, which is so crazy to talk about, but it is absolutely the case.
We will certainly see as they've got 5 games left. They welcome Michigan State in Saturday, and I was talking to Chronic Hoosier earlier. How crazy would it be for this season for them to sweep Michigan State? While Michigan State's playing a lot better, it's still possible, and that would be nuts.
Yeah, and Michigan State's shorthanded right now, I guess, literally because Nick Ward's out with a hand injury. So I don't know if he's supposed to be back this weekend or not. I think it was like a hairline fracture in his wrist or his hand. So that could be, even an extra advantage for Indiana, although you saw what Michigan State did at Michigan. So it's it's getting close to March here, and that's when Izzo's on his A game. So
we'll certainly find out.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, thanks a lot for joining us. Make sure you catch thedailyhoosier.com and Mike Schumann and that free IU content, brother. Thank you, sir. Have a great night, and hopefully you can bring a victory home.
All right, man. See you later.
Mike Schumann from the Daily Hoosier joining us, and that's going to pretty much wrap it up for us today. Make sure you like or follow us on Facebook. Tomorrow we'll be back with plenty more. We'll talk about spring football starting. Make sure you catch the game tonight right here on the station, 9 o'clock tip. Pre-game starts an hour before that. That's Eastern time, 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Central. For Justin Kalen, I'm Jim Coyle. I'll see you on the radio.